Nothing of note. The door fell in the lock with a thump, and then nothing. She shook the water off of her umbrella and tried to take off the cold, but neither worked. She dropped the umbrella in the corner, not caring that it left a puddle, and ran her fingers over the wall, looking for the light switch. When she found it and a warm glow engulfed her, the cold was finally less piercing, though it never went away. She leaned against the doorframe and then cursed under her breath as the water ran down her back, finally breaching the barrier her scarf had bravely held intact until now. She took off the scarf, took off the coat, took off the jumper, took off the shoes, took off the jeans, and cursed again, louder this time, as she stepped into the puddle the umbrella had left. Wet socks, after all, were the worst. Cursing still, she walked down the hallway, throwing her clothes left and right towards the bathroom. The shower's wetness was different. It was the kind of wetness she welcomed. After warming her skin and contemplating why even the hottest of showers never penetrated deeper, she made herself a coffee. She knew it ought to be decaf, but she cared little right now. The TV was muted as she sipped, overlooking the dark landscape in front of her window. Her living room was strewn with her children's toys, which she kicked away to free a path to the couch. It was an uncomfortable couch. It was hard, and the leather never warmed up. But it looked modern, so that had been reason enough to get it. She unmuted the TV for a moment, listening to the news of the day: a car crash on the M50, a rugby match, a celebrity death, nothing of note. Good. She switched over to a game show or other, tuning it out as soon as the music became too cheerful. Her coffee was starting to get cold. She tried to keep the heat in by hugging the cup, but the warmth escaped through her fingers like it always did. The warmth always escaped her. Nothing ever kept warm. Nothing ever stayed hot. Nothing ever lingered. Except for the cold. The aroma drifted to her nose. It ought to waken her senses, she thought, but it didn't. She gulped down the semi-warm coffee and put the cup down, trying to get herself comfortable. But even the cushions didn't help. It was just not a comfortable couch. She slipped to the floor, dragging the cushions with her, and promptly jumped back up again as she sat on her son's Lego car. Cursing again, she kicked it across the room. Still nothing on the TV that was worth watching. A contestant had won some manner of prize. She switched back to the news, which had turned towards gossip and fashion trends now. Nothing of note. Still. She turned the TV off, tried her luck with music instead, but Alexa played the wrong playlist. Huffing about useless robots, Linda got back up, took up her cup, and brought it to the kitchen. That much responsibility her mother had instilled in her. Clean as you go. She could hear the strict tone as clearly as if it had been yesterday. Clean as you go. If nothing else, she had instilled the notion that a house ought to be clean. Not livable. Clean. Not warm. Clean. She crawled into her bed, tried to find a comfortable position there, but her hair was still too wet, and now she'd soaked her pillow, which was, as ever, too cold. She sat up. It was too much now. Tears started forming in the corner of her eyes. She wiped them away forcefully. She was not a little girl. She was not a child. It was just a rainy day, for fuck's sake. It wasn't reason to cry now. Sobbing started deep in her chest as she sat on her bed, her hair dripping into her pillowcase. It grew, bubbled up, like boiling tar, slowly, with the viscosity of lava and the heat that was just as intense. There, finally, the cold was dispelled completely. In the heat of her grief, her anger, her emotion, there now, finally, she felt warm. When the scream erupted out of the lava pit in her stomach, ripped through her like an explosion. She screamed and screamed until her hair was finally dry enough to go to sleep. She leaned back into her pillow, wrapped her blanket around her, little sobs still trapped in her throat. Alan came home then, as the sobs subsided. He found her there in bed, damp hair draped over the side of the bed. Nothing of note. Again,